Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the False Line podcast. We're a man down today, but it's no worries. We're still going to get stuck into it. Charlie and Luke with me. We've actually a lot to get into, obviously, for obvious reasons. Me being a Liverpool fan, the two Duns being a United fan, obviously the game at the weekend was hyped up to be an absolute classic, but it disappointed. Obviously, the league leaders v the champions was obviously how it was kind of advertised and how it was kind of dubbed going into it. So I don't know what the last half of the game, I'm very disappointed because I felt like at that point, even though we didn't have any centre backs, I felt like we should have probably done more to win that game. I know we just didn't, obviously having to move players around wasn't great. But I think we should have done more definitely in the first half. I felt we got the ball in good positions and just like flunked our chances. And then after that, we didn't really get many good chances towards the end, and it just kind of petered out into a shit game, really, to be fair. Charlie, I don't know what your thoughts were on the game.
Yeah, obviously, before the game started, if you had offered me a 0-0, I think I would have taken it like with open arms. Really decent result, keeps us at the top. Obviously, it petered out that way, and City now have a chance to go up with us with a game at hand. But even though I said at the start I would take a 0-0, it was disappointing in the end because the way the game panned out in the second half, I think we created two massive opportunities that, they should have been taken, really. Pogba obviously blasted it straight at the goalie, and Bruno should have maybe lifted it over Alisson. But I'd say Liverpool fans may have been happy the way the game was going, that it ended and that they got out with a draw, considering the way the second half was going.
Yeah,
I think Bruno and Rashford again didn't turn up in the big game. It was an extremely poor performance from both. I think they need to simplify their game when it comes to these sort of matches. I think Bruno gives the ball away far too much. I don't really care if you say, oh, he got a goal or he got an assist, but like you can't be giving the ball away as much as he is at the moment. Obviously, he's still a crucial player to the team. I think if we want to actually compete for the title, I know we're top of the league at the moment, but we've got to improve our finishing this season. It's been horrific in front of goal, if we're being honest. Martial, 2 goals in 15, Greenwood, 1 goal in 12. They're not the sort of numbers from your attackers that are going to win you the league. So when we get in front of the goal, we have to be more clinical. And again, we've been cost 3 points due to shabby finishing from the likes of Pogba and Bruno.
Yeah, I think in the second half, the way it was kind of going, I almost felt like you're going to get a big chance, or obviously you're nervous, like, when you're watching a game like that, you're like, oh, they're going to score, but I just felt you're going to get a big chance or something was going to happen. I think the Bruno one's difficult. I think Bruno's coming like towards it, if you get me, so he's coming across, so he has to open his body out. So it probably isn't the worst finish by him, to be honest. Maybe he should be finishing. It's still a good save, but the Pogba one, I think you need to finish that. Like, I know he gets enough criticism as it is, but so I'm not going to go into it. But like, I think that's a sitter, to be honest with you, because if you think about it, that is set up perfectly for him. I think it was Wan-Bissaka did really well down the right for once, but like, anyway. And the ball sits up, you just need to smash that, like surely even higher. Like, the keeper's not saving that if it's here. He's not saving that. The fact that it's straight at him is so important. I think Pogba knew that as well. I think I was disappointed with our front three, to be honest. Yeah, I thought they were so shit. And one thing I want to say is, like, obviously Firmino, he's been in the spotlight and hasn't been doing that well. But like, in recent weeks, he's been the best out of the three, in my opinion. Like, Salah and Mane have been actually horrible to watch, because like Mane just seems like, I don't know, Mane just seems like he can't be his man. I remember Wan-Bissaka, and he did a few times, but like not much. Walker Peters last match, he barely did it. The match before, he was pocketed, I think, against Newcastle. So like, I don't know, he's been playing two ways. I think Salah's been appalling recently. Like, obviously he's still top scorer, which I don't understand at all. How is he top scorer? But he started the season extremely well, though, and play was good. And now he's just gone back to kind of this run of form where, like, every time he gets the ball, it feels like he's going to lose it or something. But And I think with Jota coming back, everyone's like, oh yeah, Jota in for Firmino. Literally, like that's the last thing you need to be doing. Like Firmino his competition should be Minamino. I know it's not great competition, but it should be Minamino, who still hasn't got a minute since he played well against Crystal Palace. But like my thing is, if Mane and Salah are going to pick up the game, they need someone who's going to be brought in for them for some games. So Jota should come in for Mane next game, or next game he's fit, maybe, or something. Stick him in, and then Mane has to go, all right, I have to pick up my game, which he will, and then Salah has to do the same. If you're just throwing Jota in there, because Jota's link-up play is actually shit, to be honest with you. Against deep blocks, it's painful to watch. He can't pass the ball, but his finishing is very good. It's like Michael
I thought Shaqiri was actually one of your best players, to be honest. Like he was providing a threat, but then he just got hooked for Curtis Jones, who, if we're being honest, he's not great. Like I'm not really sure what he offers, to be honest.
Curtis Jones, number one, he's been played too deep, and number two, he comes for the ball too deep. So when he comes for the ball, there's actually no point of him. Like where he is, he's like, okay, well, what are you going to do with the ball now, mate? Like you're too far from goal. There's no options apart from backwards. Like there's no point. He needs to move up and play like, not like Bruno, but like just high up where you can influence the game. I want to ask Luke, do you think Ollie got the team selection right in the end, or would you have changed anything?
I mean, I think he got the team right, but the actual positions, I don't get it really. I mean, Rashford for the first half, I mean, every time I think he got the ball, he was offside, I would say. Like, surely once he's destroyed Alexander-Arnold, play Liverpool, surely put him up against him again, see if he can do it again. That didn't happen. And then also, we changed it and we brought on Cavani, but we didn't put Rashford, like, we took off Martial, but we didn't give Martial any time in his actual position to see maybe if Martial was up front and Rashford down the left, and Rashford actually making some of his runs in behind from the left channel, would that have worked any better? We just decided to take off Martial, move Rashford, and it didn't really work, to be honest. Pogba off the right, I mean, you can tell, I don't think Pogba should be in any of the forward positions, to be honest. I mean, he was kind of just put there because we didn't have anywhere else to play him, because we had to play Fred McTominay. I think going forward, we need to look at taking one of those two out and actually playing Pogba in his midfield position, because he's putting him in the forward line when he doesn't provide a threat in behind. People were saying he can like get at Trent, but I wasn't seeing it really. He's going to play inside. Trent will basically have nowhere to mark, and he didn't even play on the left in the end. And also the ball retention from all our forwards was just poor, really. I mean, Martial kept it a lot of the time, to be honest, but it was more backwards passes. So, but most of the time, like Bruno and Pogba, Bruno in particular, they don't need to go for the 40-yard pass every time they get the ball. That's one of the reasons. Definitely. Every time we play City or Liverpool or even Chelsea, it looks like we're being dominated. It's not the case. We're getting the ball to our players, and they're just going for a Hollywood pass and giving the ball straight back to them. So if we actually worked on actually keeping the ball, then we could easily open them up, I would say. But we're not patient enough on the attack.
Yeah, like I think we had, like, obviously having Henderson for being a centre back. You've such a good opportunity. I think that's what Ollie was trying to do. But it was times where Bruno got the ball, and it's like you don't need to hit Rashford every time. Like realistically, you only need to hit one good ball once, and hopefully he scores, and then that will win the game. Like every time Bruno got the ball, I remember Bruno got the ball on like the left, and he just launched it in the air. Like he just clipped it in the air. I was like, what are you doing? Like Rashford's not getting that at all. I'm just like, I know Pogba did the same as well. He tried a stupid volley out wide, and I was like, mate, like I know Pogba, there's like obviously loads of Pogba fans on Twitter, and if you've ever seen them, they always say Pogba's at his best and he keeps it simple, which is true. Like I think Pogba has this idea that he's trying to prove that he can hit all these nice passes. I'm like, okay, we know you can do that, but it's about when you do that. Like if you look at Thiago, for example, he knows when to hit the right pass, when to hit the right pass, when to play over the top, when to play it short. Pogba just seems to like he needs to play that pass every time, which is what I think. I don't think it cost you the game as it was, but I think it made, obviously you create less chances. I think you would have created far more chances and would have caused far more trouble if you held onto the ball better, like you said. I think one guy who's under criticism a lot from your fan base is Shaw. How do you think he did, Charlie, overall?
Obviously, I haven't been the biggest fan of Shaw because his attacking stats, they're not good enough, realistically. Like,
I agree.
he doesn't have any, he has barely any assists to his name, but I thought he was unbelievable that game, to be honest. Like, I don't think Salah got the better of him once, to be honest.
Nope.
The strength he showed, 1v1, he was good. Positionally, he was spot on. Now, he's done this before. Like, he's had a couple of good games in a row. He has to continue it. He has to keep Telles out of the team. I think Telles will definitely find it hard to get back into the team after that performance. Obviously, Telles, he's not great defensively, if we're being honest, from what I've seen so far. People think he's better going forward, but I thought Shaw was one of our biggest threats that game, to be honest. A couple of times he dribbled in between your lines. He won a free kick on the edge of the box 2 or 3 times, I think. So, yeah, it was a great game, but it means nothing if he doesn't keep it up the next game. Obviously, Fulham are up next. I think it could be a tricky game, this Fulham game. I think they've drawn their last 5 and then lost to Chelsea the last game, obviously. I think Robinson is out suspended, and so is their other fullback. So I think Aina and Joe Bryan are going to come in. Obviously, I think we have the wingers and the quality out wide to get at them, considering they're not the first choice fullbacks, and they were playing in the Championship last season, obviously. So we should have the quality to break them open. I've seen some suggestions that Rashford and Bruno should be rested. I'm not for that, to be honest. I think you're underestimating Fulham. Obviously, we sat here like a few months ago and said Fulham are one of the worst teams in the league, but you have to give credit to Parker. He brought in some great players in like Loftus-Cheek, Lookman, and obviously you sort out the defence with Adebayo and Anderson, I think. So, yeah, they've looked solid recently. I watched them against Chelsea. They didn't really have anything. Chelsea going forward, they got quite a lucky goal. I'd say if Fulham had kept 11 men on the pitch, they would have nicked at least a draw out of that game. I think Cavani is going to be crucial in this game. If we can swing in a few decent crosses, I think Cavani's going to have to get on the end of one, because they really do look solid at the back at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, just one before we move on to the other teams, just on us, Liverpool. That's no goals in 3, no wins in 4. I think obviously on social media, you're obviously going to get a massive overreaction really. But I think there's a few things that I know what Carragher, they said on Sky a lot. They're like, defensively Liverpool are fine. They probably haven't missed Van Dijk as much as they thought they would. I don't think it's in terms of the defensively. I think it's how we play, because with Van Dijk, we're pushed up the pitch with dominance because we have the pace if it goes in behind. So when we're pushed up, our players are pushed up, meaning we win the ball higher up the pitch and we're able to have the ball in more dangerous areas. Because sometimes when we win it, we're too far from goal anyway, because obviously we're all pushed back a little bit. That's why I think we're missing a lot. I think the midfield probably, it didn't work. I don't think Wijnaldum doesn't seem interested anymore, to be honest. Once Kyle comes back, I don't want to see him in the team. He doesn't look interested anymore. He is still and always will be one of my favourite players in the Klopp era, but he didn't see Mars, to be honest. Yeah, I think, in fairness, I think it is hard to play hard for a team that you know you're not going to be there in a few months or whatever. But look, I think if once Kyle comes back, hopefully he's been given an extended layoff to try figure out what's wrong with his injuries. I think Matip not being fit was just ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, like, from what's kind of coming out, I'm speculating, like the type of injury or like the type of pain he was feeling today or the day of the game. It was something that like the Virgil, Henderson, Mo, Mane are all going to play through. And if I'm being honest, I actually think Joe Matip, I think Kite is different, right? I think Joe Matip's just soft. Right, it sounds simplistic, but I think he's just soft, because there's so many times where he was meant to return and he didn't because he felt something or he wasn't ready or he ruled himself out like he did at the weekend. Whereas I think, I know you're trying not to injure the risk yourself, but it's one of the biggest games of the season. Like, you're doing everything to get back, and I personally want him gone in the summer anyway. That's a different kind of topic. But I think all in all, it's an improvement, but lots of work to do if you want to catch City, who we're going to move on to next. Another win, another clean sheet. It's looking, I think for me now, they're favourites. We're not even halfway through, but they're favourites. Luke, what do you think of City yesterday? I don't know if you watched them, but even just City in recent weeks, really.
Well, I think obviously another clean sheet. I mean, I have no clue how Stones and Diaz are doing this, really. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. They've conceded about, like 1 goal in 9 games. I wouldn't have thought any defence with John Stones in it would have been able to put up numbers like that. But, I've been proved wrong, apparently. I still think they have another gear to go up in attack, which is worrying. It's not the old City where they'll destroy you on the attack, but they're getting to that stage. I think if they can get Aguero back and firing and actually fit, then they're definitely, they should win the league, really, because with that defence not conceding any goals, then I don't see how they'll lose many games. They have the ability to score in every game, and if they keep keeping clean sheets, they're going to win most games they play. So I think they have a really, I'm not going to say easy run of fixtures, but it's a favourable run of fixtures coming up. So they should be looking to go top of the table. I'll definitely be surprised if they're not top of the table in the next month or so. So they have a good opportunity to get some momentum going, and I'd be surprised if they weren't top of the league.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say with City at the moment is that I see it. I think I'm worried that they're probably gonna, because we're not strong. I don't think United are quite ready yet to really mount a serious title charge. But they could maybe extend create a gap. But one thing I would say is the Champions League's coming up, and I think that will always be the first target for City at the moment with Pep. That's why he's brought in, and I think around those games, I don't know who they got in the Champions League. I think it was an easy job, but I'm talking like quarters and semis and stuff like that towards the end of the season, where
I think it was Mönchengladbach, was it?
Yeah, it was. But like, you know what I mean? They're not going to do anything. But I mean, like, around those ties, they're going to have to maybe rest players, because they're going to take it seriously, completely ahead of the league. It's going to take precedence, so they're probably going to have to rest. I don't think Pep will want to change things, because what happened last year when he changed things, he got knocked out by Leon. So I think that's why I see them dropping points maybe around those games. But at the moment with Stones and Diaz, hopefully Stones has a howler in them at some point. I think they have easy games. Things could obviously go wrong in those games, but I expect them to win. Pretty sure, I'm expecting them to win every game until they play us, which is like 5 as far as I'm aware, or 4. So they're looking good. Charlie, Pep has obviously kind of changed. He hasn't changed the system, but he's tinkered slightly. What do you think did you expect Pep to change? I know he's traditionally very stubborn, but did you expect him to change as much as he has?
I don't think it's anything new from Pep, really. I think he sometimes overthinks it, really. I was watching him the other day, and Jesus came onto the pitch and he just played left mid while Bernardo Silva was standing up front. Now you can call some things good tactics. To me, that's just stupid, to be honest. Just play people in their position. Jesus didn't do anything on the left, got moved to striker, and Sterling came on and they saw out the game. But I think Pep sort of has a history of overthinking things. I think who they get knocked out of the Champions League by last season, was it? Leon, yeah. I think he completely overthought his team selection there. I think De Bruyne hitting form has helped City. He obviously didn't have many goals or assists coming into the last few games, but he started to. I don't think it was ever a question of he wasn't performing. I think the chances weren't being converted for him. I think he still creates plenty of chances. He's still the heart of the City team. Obviously, he's been played up front a few times. I think also a player that goes under the radar is Gundogan. I really like Gundogan. I think he's the guy who just keeps the ball ticking, but he also injects some pace into the City attacks. He passes it to the people he knows can create opportunities and score goals. And I think with him in the team, they just look a lot more solid. Obviously, Rodri, we all know that he's well, I don't rate him anyway. I think he needs someone to play alongside him. So I think Gundogan has come in and he's done a good job beside him or just advancing him because he's better defensively than the likes of De Bruyne and Bernardo.
Yeah, they're looking good. Obviously, another clean sheet, as I said. They since he's kind of changed, they haven't played apart from Hughes, obviously, but that was in the cup as far as I'm aware. They haven't really played anyone who's a team of kind of note, to be honest with you. So we'll have to wait and see when they come to Anfield. There's still a long way to go. I think people are kind of now just, there is a bit of a tendency on Twitter, obviously. I know Twitter is just not really a good place to go by, but there's just kind of this tendency to say, look, City are going to probably win this league. They've got their defence to be solid. But, you know, it's still a long season. Things can still happen. You know, I think, like, if you saw this one of games that City have had since the last big game they played, I think was, I want to say Tottenham. Like, they're going to win most of these anyway. So I don't think it's a huge surprise, but I think the manner they're doing it is probably a bit of a surprise about they're not conceding. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be an interesting season, definitely. I think, like, to have a 3-horse race like that is good for the league, obviously. It's better than someone running away with it. That's why I think it's important United and Liverpool keep pace. But moving on to a team that we thought were contenders at the start of the season, might still be Tottenham. Won 3-1 at Sheffield United. Tottenham had a few bad results. I remember after they lost to us, I think they drew and they're a bit all over the place. But they've started winning games again and they're up thereabouts. I think they're only 1 point behind us, you know. So has anything impressed you of Tottenham late, Charlie, or do you just think that it's just one of those things where they're expected to win games and you see them eventually falling away again?
I've been disappointed with Tottenham, really. I think with Mourinho as their manager, we all thought, yeah, with the way the league is this season, they'll keep grinding out results and they'll be around the top. But it just hasn't panned out their way. They keep throwing away their leads. I think they just go 1-0 up, and their fans have pointed this out multiple times. They go 1-0 up and they just sit back. And you're asking to be scored against, you're asking to be attacked, and it's not the way to go. Against lesser sides, you need to go, you need to get the second goal, you need to get the third goal, you need to kill the game off. You can't just score a goal, doss your way through the game, sit back, last 20 minutes. You're more than likely going to concede unless you have a great defence, and that's their problem. They don't have a great defence. Eric Dyer's not a good centre half. Toby Alderweireld he's getting on now. Davinson Sanchez has gone to shit, basically. And who's their other centre back? Roden is a young lad, so you can't really expect much out of him. I think they were linked to Skriniar in the summer, according to Romano, and I think instead of maybe Bale, they should have looked at getting that deal done. Obviously, Bale doesn't even play. He's subbing on the likes of Lucas and Lamela on. Now, I don't care how much younger Lamela and Lucas are than Bale or how much more they run. They're not better players than Bale, so obviously something might be going on there. But without a good defence, you're never going to properly challenge. And I think Mourinho will be looking into to bring in a centre back, whether it's in January or in the summer.
Yeah, Luke, I think we'll just briefly do Tottenham. So one of the last things is, I know people are saying that Son, I know everyone knows Kane's going to score whatever meant to go, but people are saying Son's luck's going to eventually run out. I don't know what his record is, but he hasn't been scoring as frequently. Do you think that's a worry too, or do you think he'll just regain his form and still be one of the top scorers?
I think Son's one of those players, you look at him, he hasn't scored in a while, and then next game he'll just go and bag a hat-trick or something. Like, he's that type of player.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to hit form in patches, so I think he'll come into a good patch soon and all. But also, I just want to remark on something I saw in the Sheffield and Tottenham game. Aaron Ramsdale, oh my God, he is the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League. Did you see? I'm not even talking about Ndombelé's goal. I'm talking about Kane's goal. look at his positioning.
Yeah.
Kane. It goes. It's not in the stanchion, like it's in the corner. It's hit with a bit of power, but it's just terrible positioning from Ramsdale. And the first goal as well. He comes out, no man's land, nothing like, and you could argue the third goal as well. He shouldn't be letting the ball loose. So that's one of the reasons Sheffield are down in the position they are. They didn't replace Henderson well enough, and also just on Tottenham, I think against the smaller teams when you're 1-0 up, they're waiting for that last 15 to 20 minutes to actually go, right, we'll go for it now. So the fact that Tottenham just sit back, it just helps them out a little bit. They'll go, right, okay, they're sitting back, let's just chuck on an extra striker. Let's get some balls into the ball. And aerially, Tottenham centre-backs are woeful. They cannot head a ball. So you saw it, they just whip a ball in, McGoldrick scores, now they're back in the game. Now, when Ndombele produced a great finish, and he's been playing well recently in Ndombele, to be fair, but Spurs, I think, are playing into lower teams' hands, really, with the way they're playing at the moment. They need to just go and kill the game because they have the players to do it.
Yeah, I think we're playing them after the next round of fixtures, so we're playing away, which I'm looking forward to that game. I think I'm more confident going to that game. I think Kane and Son are probably the only threats that I'd see for us. I think we dealt with your attack yesterday, so yeah, they're still doing well. They're still only a point behind, of course, but I think there's something with Tottenham, like they're gonna maybe. No, I'm not saying they won't, but they might struggle to get top four with their way Leicester playing. They might fall off like they did last season, but yeah, I think Mourinho's probably looking at a centre back, like Charlie said, of course. So yeah, but moving on to Chelsea, who obviously they got the win against Fulham, but they haven't been great at all recently, obviously dropping points a lot. Lampard's under pressure a lot. Werner doesn't seem to be kind of playing the way we expect him to play, thank God, because we dodged the bullet definitely. But Charlie, on Chelsea, would you stick with Frank Lampard, or just kind of maybe bring someone else in to try make a push top four?
Personally, I would get rid of him because, to be honest, I'm not really sure what he's seeing at the moment. The teams he's naming, I'm not sure how Callum Hudson-Odoi isn't getting into the team. Obviously, Ziyech, we raved about Ziyech. He doesn't look in form at the moment since he's come back from the injury. He doesn't look the player he was in the earlier games of the season. I think Pulisic has been disappointing this season. We all thought he'd go to another level. He hasn't seemed to do that. He doesn't know who to select up front. Giroud, obviously, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to act as sort of a link man, a target man. You can put balls into the box. I think Abraham is similar in that regard, maybe has a bit more pace there. I wouldn't say either of them are clinical, which is a problem for Chelsea. And then you have the problem Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. And to be honest, like, people are talking about Van de Beek, he never plays 40 million. Well, Kai Havertz cost 70 million and he never plays either. Mason Mount gets in ahead of him consistently and consistently outperforms him when he's on the pitch. I think Havertz, when he signed, I had doubts about him. Obviously, the Bundesliga, there's a lot of space. Like, it's not as high quality as the Premier League. We all know that. But when he's gone onto the pitch, he hasn't done enough. And it's the same with Werner. He gets on the pitch, he consistently misses chances. And I think maybe Chelsea will look at bringing Tuchel or Nagelsmann. Obviously, they have German links. Maybe they'll know how to get the best out of Havertz and Werner. I think Lampard will be looking over his shoulder at the moment, considering Tuchel is available. It's kind of like Ollie was with Pochettino, but we seem to move past it now that Poch has been appointed to PSG. I think Lampard is walking a fine line considering the investment he got given in the summer, and I don't think he's delivering. I don't think he's putting the right teams out onto the pitch. I think every Chelsea fan can see it. I'm not sure what Havertz actually offers when he's on the pitch. Werner just misses loads of chances. I'm not sure it's a confidence thing. It's happening far too often, so it's definitely concerning. I think they got to win their last game. I'm not sure who they're playing next, but it's a must-win game. They have to put some form together considering the amount of money they spent.
Well, it's Leicester away next. So, if he loses that, you do worry for Frank Lampard. Luke, on Havertz, what do you think? I think we said at the start of the season, we said all these attacking players, he has to get them in somehow. But what's your thought on kind of how he's doing, how Lampard's doing that, and maybe why Havertz isn't getting in to the team?
I think whenever I've watched Havertz, he just, like, his touch seems to be off. He seems really weak. He's just getting pushed off the ball. I don't think he's playing in the right position, to be fair. I think he's best when he's making runs into the box, and I actually think heading is one of his great strengths. I've seen him score a lot of headers for Bayern Leverkusen when the ball's just whipped in and he gets his head on it and score. I don't think he's getting in the box enough. He's being played a little bit too deep, but his passing seems poor. His physicality is not up to scratch for the Premier League yet. He needs to work on that, and he just needs to do everything a bit faster. I think he just looks a bit slow on it.
So I think he needs to bulk up too. He just gets shoved off the ball, like you said. Yeah, it's a weird one. I think Mason Mount's form is obviously probably hindered Havertz a little bit, because I think Mason Mount's been brilliant. I know people joke about him, like Lampard loving him, but I think he warrants his place in that team. He's been brilliant. Yeah, look, we'll move on to the Arsenal game tonight and just Arsenal in general. But I think Lampard going forward has a lot of work to do. And I think if he loses to Leicester, I can't see him getting sacked, but then they've Wolves after, so it's not looking great for him. But yeah, moving on to Arsenal before we wrap up. They drew 0-0 to Crystal Palace. They're playing Newcastle tonight. Obviously, they had that terrible run of form where we thought Arteta was getting sacked, and then now they've picked it up. Charlie, what do you think's changed since kind of that bad run of form in December, kind of November period?
I think just it's simple, really. They've added a number 10 in Smith Rowe, and I think he's looked really good when he's played. He looks a talent. Like, he gets on the ball.
Yeah.
He keeps it simple, but he can also play killer passes. He gets on the score sheet as well. Obviously, he won them their was it the FA Cup game? I can't remember who it was against, but he got the winning goal.
Newcastle, I think.
He got the winning goal there. I think he played brilliantly against West Brom. Obviously, it was at the heart of 2 or 3 of their goals. So I think adding a number 10, we all thought that would help Arsenal out, and it has. But with such a young squad, these sort of results against Crystal Palace, 0-0, they're to be expected. Like, they're not going to perform consistently at such a young age. If they do, then they're considered unbelievable talents. I think you can expect Smith Rowe and Saka to have an off day because of their young age. Like, they're not going to perform consistently. But, like, it is a concern still. Like, Crystal Palace, they are good against the top 6. Like, we've lost them twice this season and last season at home. Like, they do well against the top 6, but the fact that Arsenal created basically nothing, like, I can't remember a single chance they created. I think Lacazette had one. He hit it against the side net, but he was offside, so it didn't really matter. I think Aubameyang is still way below par. I don't know if he's really interested after his contract renewal, but he's not doing it. He's not getting any chances. He's not scoring any goals. I think Lacazette, he's done well this season, to be honest. I think the fan base criticise him, but I think he's actually very important to Arsenal system, the way he drops in, holds the ball. People say, oh yeah, he just sticks his arse out into the centre backs and goes down, but I think he does hold the ball up pretty well. His link-up play is decent enough. Like, his finishing is dodgy at times, but nearly every forward's finishing this season has been dodgy when you think about it, except for maybe Kane and Ings. So yeah. I think they definitely need to find a way to get Aubameyang back to what he was, because otherwise they're going to finish mid-table, because they don't look a threat at all going forward some of the time. Smith Rowe has helped them in that regard a bit, but they can't just rely on, a 20-year-old to create all the chances. Like, Pepe needs to step up, Willian needs to step up, and I would give Reece Nelson more game time. I think he's as good a player as Smith Rowe and Saka. He's just not getting the game time. He's looked really good in the Europa League, so I'll give him a go if Pepe and Willian keep performing the way they are.
Yeah, Luke, on Pepe, would you cut your losses and try to bring someone else in at this point? Because I know they probably haven't paid the full 72 million, but I think if they sold them and were able to bring someone else in, it probably would benefit the team more. What do you think?
Well, I don't know how much they could get for Pepe at this moment in time. Like he hasn't done anything really, apart from in the Europa League. It could be one of them where they sell him for a low price and then they end up looking like idiots when he goes to another club and he might start performing. But he's just not performing for Arsenal, so maybe it's time to look at selling him. I definitely think Arsenal though they need a number 10. Like you can't rely on Smith Rowe to perform every game at his age.
Yeah,
I've seen they've been looking at Brandt. Maybe he's the solution. I mean, I've heard Arsenal fans talking about Grealish, but I don't think there's any chance they'll sign him. Every time, like, yeah, Solomon, that guy that they keep going on about, never seen him play, to be honest. I can't tell you much,
yeah. I
much
mean,
about it. But Arsenal in the transfer market, I think it's a bit shambolic, to be honest. I mean, what did they finish in the Champions League places for, like, what, 10 years in a row or something? And apparently now they have no money. Like, I know they moved to the Emirates, but like every summer now, it seems like you're talking about Arsenal scraping 30 million together to get one player. Like, it's not good enough. I mean, where's the money? Like, where's the investment? You need to invest in that squad. They bought Party, but like one player a summer. You look at United, they're buying 3 players of that caliber every summer, and it's needed. And United aren't even like, they're only getting close to leagues now, and they've been doing that for what, the last 5-7 seasons. So like, Arsenal need serious investment into that squad. They can't just be relying on academy products to come through and drag them through games. It's not good enough, really. They need some more investment into the squad. I think if you look at the defence, it just highlights it. Pablo Mari, what's that, like 5 million? David Luiz free transfer or something. Gabriel's a decent signing, to be honest. Tierney, they really missed him against Crystal Palace. But look what the signing of Tierney can do. He's one of their best players now because they actually invested. Thomas Partey will be one of their best players. Aubameyang, these are the players they brought in. Whereas every other player they brought in for low price, I mean, none of them have really worked out, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I think with Arsenal is they definitely need to probably get rid of a lot of kind of the dead, but maybe possibly even some of the players that obviously they're fan favourites and they're popular in the squad. Like, you're probably looking at offloading someone like Bellerin, you'll get a bit of money for him. You're probably looking at offloading like El Neni. I think I was going to say Ceballos, but he's on loan, so that doesn't make sense. Kind of Maitland-Niles probably not, but maybe I wouldn't say Aubameyang, but I'd probably say Lacazette and Kessie. Like, they're going to have to make sacrifices because, like, Ozil's gone on a free transfer. If they sold him a year back, they were getting a bit more, or a year or even 2 years before, like previously, they probably were going to get a bit of money from. I think that whole situation was a mess, and it's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I think obviously they're playing Newcastle tonight. I expect them to win, but I think going forward for them, they probably do need to make some big decisions on who they're going to let go and then bring in. Most importantly, they've been linked with players. They have the network into to bring in talent that they've done before. So really, to be honest with you, I think that's the frustration of the Arsenal fans. I think the owners is the frustration because I know they feel like they have the right manager now. They feel like they have a good core of players, so your Gabriels, your Tierneys, your Lenos, your whoever, your parties and stuff like that. So I think they're just looking for their owners to invest in more. But in these times especially, and they got a loan as well. They got a loan off the Bank of England, and Tottenham did it as well, and had their highest net spend in years. So maybe that's what's going to help them obviously kind of compete. But it's an interesting one. I think for me, they're still a long way off even top 4. To be fair, I think that whole top of the table is very saturated at the moment, and I don't think they're close. But they're playing you in a couple of weeks too. So the thing is, I would say beat you. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I think it's them breaking in the smaller teams. It's why they needed a number 10 at the time. But look, yeah, Arsenal obviously on tonight. Very kind of an interesting side. You don't really know what you're going to get from them at the moment. It's one Arsenal fans keeps them awake at night anyway. But look, I think we'll probably wrap up now. I know, Luke, you have lectures and also thanks to two of you for joining. Obviously another big week ahead because I think there's games every day this week, which is very good. We're playing on Thursday, you're playing on Wednesday, so it should be good. Yeah, so if whoever's watching, please share with your mates. Thanks very much. Subscribe, of course, like, and yeah, see you next week.